All right, so neutral spine. Bet you hear that a lot, right? Like fitness people are always going on about it.
It's like the magic phrase, isn't it?
But seriously, though, is it just about avoiding back pain or is there more to it? Like, I want to know if it helps me actually move better, feel stronger, in everyday life.
Well, that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Exactly. We've got all this research, expert opinions, the whole shebang, ready to really break down neutral spine, like what it does, why it matters.
And not just the stand-up straight stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being stiff.
Oh, good, because that sounds awful.
It's more about, how can I put it? Understanding how your spine actually works. Like it's designed to move in a specific way. And working with that instead of fighting it.
So not perfect posture, but more like having, I don't know, the right foundation so you can move how you need to.
Exactly. Think of it like, I don't know, a crane, one of those construction cranes.
Yeah.
The base, that has to be solid, right?
Yeah, otherwise the whole thing tips over.
Even if the crane arm is super strong, if that base is wobbly, useless. Neutral spine, it's kind of like creating that strong base for your body.
Okay, I'm liking this crane analogy.
So you can move efficiently, powerfully, the whole deal.
But before we get too far ahead, can we back up just a bit?
Yeah, sure.
What is neutral spine exactly? I mean, we all know our spine isn't just a straight line.
Oh, definitely not. We've got curves, and that's important. It's what makes our spine so darn good at, well, everything.
Okay, so curves good?
3 of them. You've got that inward curve at the neck, that's your cervical spine. Then the upper back curves outward, that's the thoracic spine.
And if you're like me, that one's probably a bit more rounded than it should be thanks to too much phone time.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But lastly, lower back curves inward, again, that's the lumbar spine. So neutral spine, it's when these curves are all balanced working together, creating like this smooth edged shape.
So it's not about forcing my back to be flat against a wall or something.
No way. That's not natural.
Phew. Okay, good. So balanced curves. But what happens when we're like constantly not in neutral spine? I mean, we all do it, right? Hunching over phones, slouching at desks.
Oh yeah, all those everyday habits, they add up. And they can really mess with your spine's natural alignment.
Okay, but like HOW.
Well, take that phone hunch.
Yeah.
Rounding that thoracic spine, what happens? You get tightness in your chest, your upper back muscles, they get weak.
Makes sense. And slouching.
Oh, slouching is a whole other beast. It compresses the front of your discs, those shock absorbers between your vertebrae,
Yeah.
and it stretches the ligaments in the back. Over time, that can set you up for disc problems, pain, all sorts of fun stuff.
So even if I don't feel it right away, I could be like slowly damaging things without realizing it.
It's like imagine you're driving your car with the wheels out of alignment.
Oh, I've done that before. Not good.
Right. You might not notice a huge difference at first.
But eventually, your tires wear out unevenly, you would have a blowout, all kinds of expensive problems. Same thing with our spine, huh? Okay, definitely paying attention now.
Good. Now, think about a simple movement, like bending over to pick up something heavy.
My gym bag, for example, I swear it weighs like 50 pounds.
Perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you round your back to lift that bag,
Mm.
all the pressure goes right onto those lower back muscles and discs.
Like trying to lift it with just my back. Oof. Yeah, I feel that already.
Exactly. It's like lifting with only your arms, super inefficient, and puts a lot of strain on a small area.
Makes sense. So how should I be picking it up then?
Maintaining neutral spine.
Mm.
Engaging your core as you hinge at your hips. Now you're distributing that load across your entire back.
So instead of just my back, I'm using my legs, hips, too.
The whole shebang, like turning your entire body into one big, powerful lifting machine.
So working smarter, not harder, like you're saying.
Exactly.
But this isn't just for gym bags, right? I mean, I spend a lot of time sitting at a desk.
Oh, that's a huge EE one. If you're slouching at your desk all day, you're constantly compressing those discs in the front, which, you guessed it, leads to pain and stiffness.
Ugh. Okay, no more slouching. But I'm sitting up straight, neutral spine, core engaged.
You're supporting your back, allowing those discs to breathe, stay healthy. Night and day difference.
All right, this is making me rethink my whole workday. But how do I actually find this neutral spine thing? Is there a test or something?
Absolutely. Let's start by standing up. Feet shoulder width apart, arms relaxed at your sides.
All right, standing. What next?
Now, gently tilt your pelvis back and forth, just a few times.
Like rocking it back and forth.
Yep, you'll feel that lower back arch and flatten. What you want is that middle ground, where your lower back has a natural, gentle inward curve. That's your neutral lumbar spine.
Yeah, I think I feel it. Subtle, but it's there. What about the rest of my spine?
Good. Now imagine a string pulling the top of your head straight up. You want your head aligned with your spine, a slight double chin, not your head jutting forward. And let those shoulders relax down, away from your ears.
Shoulders down, check. So what's the last piece of the puzzle?
Engage that core. Imagine someone's about to gently poke you in the stomach. You want to brace those muscles, but not suck in your gut.
Gotcha. I can definitely feel the difference. It's like subtle but strong. So it shouldn't feel stiff or forced, right?
Nope. More like a sense of balanced strength.
That's a good way to put it. And I can practice this in front of a mirror, get a feel for it, right?
Exactly. It should become intuitive, natural. You shouldn't have to overthink it.
This is really helpful. Like, I'm finally getting what all those good posture cues are really about.
It's about setting your body up for success, whatever you're doing.
But hold on, we're not just statues, right? We move. What happens to this neutral spine when we start, walking, bending, all that?
That's where things get really interesting. And that's exactly what we'll be diving into next.
All right, so we've found our neutral spine, standing nice and tall, but, like, we're not statues, right? How do we keep that strong foundation, that stability, when we're actually moving around, living life?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's where a lot of folks get tripped up,
Mhm.
thinking neutral spine is just this one rigid pose you have to hold all the time.
Like a robot.
Exactly. But remember that crane we were talking about?
Yeah, the strong base.
Right, the base stays solid,
Mm.
even though the crane arm is swinging around, lifting stuff.
Ah, so our spine is like the base. It stays stable even though we're moving.
Bingo. It's all about understanding how your body is designed to move and then working with it, not against it.
Okay, so how do we actually translate that stability into, dynamic movement? Like, give me an example.
Sure. Remember that gym bag we talked about? Picking that up?
Right. The 50-pounder.
Right. Now, if you try to lift that by rounding your back, you're basically folding yourself in half the middle of your spine.
Ouch. Yeah, I can feel that already. Not good.
Nope. All that pressure goes right onto your lower back discs, those little shock absorbers between your vertebrae.
And those are not meant to take that kind of force, right?
Right. Not alone. But if you hinge at your hips, instead, keeping that nice, long, neutral spine as you lower down.
So like a squat.
Kinda. But think more about keeping that flat back, chest up. You're distributing the load more evenly, using your whole body, not just isolating your lower back.
Gotcha. So it's more like I'm using my whole body as a lever instead of just muscling it up with my back.
Exactly. It's like, how can I put it? It's like you're dancing with your spine instead of forcing it into positions it doesn't want to be in.
I like that. So hip hinge, neutral spine. What about my core? You mentioned engaging the core before. What does it actually mean?
The core, more than just those six-pack abs.
Right. Like, what muscles are we even talking about?
Think of it as this 360-degree cylinder of muscles wrapping around your torso. You've got your abdominals in the front, obviously.
Show-offs.
But then you've got your back extensors, your obliques on the sides, and even those deep pelvic floor muscles. Those are important too.
Wow, it's like a built-in support system.
It is, and when you
Yeah.
engage it correctly, it's not about sucking in your gut or clenching your abs super tight. It's more like a gentle bracing, like you're preparing for someone to lightly poke you in the stomach from any direction.
Okay, that makes sense. So much better than just suck it in. So this core engagement, that helps stabilize the spine, especially when we're moving.
Absolutely. It's like adding those cables to a suspension bridge,
Right.
It creates that tension, that stability, so the rest of the structure can move freely and safely.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together. Hip hinge, core engagement, maintaining that neutral spine. It's like a whole body system.
It is. And the cool part is, there are certain exercises that can help strengthen these muscles, make it easier to move with good alignment.
Ooh, exercise recommendations, I'm all ears.
Well, first up, got to mention planks. They're fantastic for building core stability and endurance.
Planks, classic.
Yeah, they really challenge those deep abdominal muscles
Hmm.
that play a crucial role in supporting our spine. But then you've also got bird dogs. Those are great for strengthening your back extensors and working on your balance.
Bird dog, I've seen those. They look interesting.
They're effective. You're basically working on stabilizing your spine while moving your limbs, which mimics a lot of real-life movements.
And I'm guessing hip hinges are on that list too, right?
You bet. They teach you to move from your hips, keeping your back straight, which is crucial for, well, everything. Bending, lifting, even just standing up from a chair with good posture.
Okay, so this isn't just about getting beach body ready. It's training for everyday life. I like it. But, some people might feel kind of stiff or restricted when they try to find their neutral spine. We talked before about how tight muscles can affect that.
Yeah, you're right. And that's where mobility comes into play. If your muscles are tight, restricted, they're going to pull your spine out of alignment no matter how strong your core is.
So it's like those muscles are winning a tug of war with my spine.
Exactly. Like say your hip flexors are tight, those muscles that run along the front of your hips. They can pull your pelvis forward, which then creates that exaggerated arch in your lower back.
Ah, so that's why my lower back always feels so tight.
Could be. And that's why addressing those tight spots through specific mobility exercises is so important. It's like giving your body a tune-up.
A mobility tune-up. I like that. Makes it
No,
sound less intimidating. And speaking of mobility, I think that's the perfect segue into our next segment. Okay, time for that mobility tune-up. I'm ready to loosen up, get things moving.
perfect. Well, we were just talking about tight hip flexors. Those can be a real pain, literally. So let's start there.
Sounds good to me. What do we do?
A simple kneeling hip flexor stretch can work wonders. You just kneel on one knee, other foot flat on the floor in front of you.
Okay, got it. Like I'm proposing.
Yeah, kind of. From there, gently push your hips forward until you feel that stretch in the front of your back hip.
Yeah, feeling it. It should feel good, not painful, right?
Exactly. No pain, just a nice stretch, like you're lengthening those hip flexor muscles, giving your pelvis space to tilt back more towards that neutral position.
Oh, okay, making the connection now. How long do I hold this for?
About 30 seconds, breathing deeply, then switch sides.
This already feels amazing. What other tight spots should we be thinking about?
Hamstrings are another big one. If they're tight, they can pull down on your pelvis, make it harder to maintain that lumbar curve.
Oh, yeah, hamstrings. I always feel those when I bend over.
Exactly. A simple standing hamstring stretch can help. Feet hip width apart, bend forward at your hips, keeping your back straight.
Wait, back straight. I usually just try to touch my toes.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, but then you're just rounding your spine. You want to feel the stretch in the back of your legs, not your back.
Okay, I see the difference. So, hips forward, back straight, and hold for 3 seconds.
Yep. Breathing deeply, then slowly come back up.
Got it. So, hip flexors, hamstrings, any other must-do mobility moves?
Well, the cool thing about mobility is there are tons of different exercises and stretches out there. You got to figure out what works for your body, what feels good.
So it's like personalize it.
Exactly. Maybe your shoulders feel tight, maybe your chest, even your ankles can get stiff.
Oh, yeah, I've never even thought about my ankles.
See, there are specific stretches for all those areas.
Yeah.
You just got to explore, find what works best for you.
This is great. So much to try, but I'm guessing consistency is key here, right? Can't just do this once and expect miracles.
You got it. Even just a few minutes each day can make a huge difference.
Yeah,
Think of it as like giving your body a little TLC, keeping things running smoothly.
love that. So we've covered a lot today. Neutral spine, exercises, mobility, the whole shebang. What's the main takeaway you want listeners to walk away with?
I want them to feel empowered, like they've got the tools now to actually improve their posture, feel less pain, and move better overall. Neutral spine, it's not just this abstract idea, it's something you can actually put into practice.
Yeah.
It's a journey of getting to know your body and learning how to move it in a way that feels good.
It's about like creating a better relationship with our body instead of forcing it into these rigid positions. It's about finding that flow, that ease of movement.
Yes, exactly. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress. Some days you'll nail it, other days you'll forget all about it. And that's okay. Just keep practicing, keep learning, and keep appreciating what your amazing body can do.
I love that. So inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing all this wisdom with us today.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening, we'll be back with more deep dives into all things health and wellness. Until next time, keep those spines strong and those bodies moving.